Okay, we are recording, Jerry.
Okay, so welcome everybody. This is Terry Whaley, Flagstaff, Arizona, and this is Whole Self session number 9. And today's topic is integrity and trust.
Wow.
And the way I've learned it and the way it's evolved in my life, they're hand in hand. So, first though, I want to hear from you folks. I want to hear about any sharing about either restriction or anything that you thought about from last week's session. Did you practice it? Did you notice anything about that or any miracles? We've certainly had some miracles happening. Anybody want to say anything?
Well, I'll say something, Jerry.
Okay.
And again, we can't reveal the details at the moment.
Okay.
But Dave and I had a miracle that happened today that actually started after this class started. We kind of planted the seed, and today we had a miracle. So I can't talk about it this week, but hopefully next week I'll talk about that.
Okay.
So that's
Wonderful.
very exciting. And then the other thing on restriction that I just want to mention, and I don't know if this is exactly, but this is the way I think about restriction.
Okay.
I was having lunch with a client of ours, and they're a big user of the DISC assessment, which is what we do. And I thought DISC or Myers-Briggs or any model that we use is kind of an example of restriction. Because if I'm dealing with someone where our styles are very different, we're having trouble communicating, we bring in that model to help us with that communication process.
Yes.
So that was kind of an aha for me. It's like, restriction and action here. So I know that if I want to be effective with this other person, I've got to change the way I respond to them.
Yes.
So that was just kind of an example.
Absolutely. It's wonderful. Yeah, I think we all have to do that in situations in our life, don't we?
Yeah.
We have to, one of the things that I've noticed that people do a lot is whatever industry we're in, we use the jargon of our industry, and people look at us funny when we do that because they don't know what we're talking about. And we need to continue to be descriptive of what we're talking about in a way that they can understand based on how they would use it or what it would do for them, as opposed to what our company calls these things that we do. And I'm sure that languaging would be different in each industry that we're in. But I find that really interesting, that sometimes we get lost in our jargon. So who else? Anybody else? Anything else that you did? How was that for you last week? Anybody want to say anything about that?
Horrible.
Horrible.
I realize how reactive I am in most every situation because sometimes I need to get a reaction like quickly, but mostly with my daughter, I'm very reactive and never proactive. So we talked about it at lunch yesterday, Christine and I, and I've been trying to change that. It's just difficult for me because I know it all, I know the best answer, and just do it my way and we're good. So restriction is hard for me.
Yes. And most of the time, how we go about something is different from other people, how they think about it, how they go about it. And it's sort of like all roads lead to Paris in France. Most of the time, they're going to get to the goal, but they're going to, and they're going to do it their way. Like when I offered to pray for people, what I pray for is not a particular thing to happen in their life, that light come into their life. And it's going to show up however it does. And then we have to trust the light. That's the first time I've said that word in this session. We have to trust that the light knows better than we do
Mhm.
and the light getting together with the personality of the person that needs some help. It's the magic combination, not what we think.
Mhm.
And that's hard. It's hard.
Mhm.
It's hard on us to keep our mouths shut. At least it's me. Oh,
Ooh, baby.
don't talk. You're telling me not to talk. Anybody else? Yeah. And Debbie, most people are really reactive.
Mhm.
Even if they're polite enough not to say anything in the moment, they've got a judgment right away. They've got a list of 10 things they think you ought to do, or that you ought to wear, or that you ought to think, or something. And they're thinking about their list. Yeah. Instead of just saying, ay, 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 this person needs light, I'll just send light. You know that phrase that I said, I don't know how long ago, that I use several times a day, Spirit, go before me and prepare my way. Spirit, go before me and prepare my way. Because I'm trying to figure it out. Right? I'm trying to figure out, okay, the best way, what's the best way for me to do this, say it, do it, whatever. And I don't really think I always know. Let's just Spirit, go before me and prepare my way. And sometimes I say that prayer for other people too.
Mhm.
Spirit, go before him and prepare his way. I don't think that's too presumptuous. I think everybody would want that, don't you?
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
What could be a problem with that? Anyway. Yeah. Anything else before we start today? Anything?
My experience, well, I had a little something. My experience this week with restriction was, I think I shared either last week or the week before, I don't remember, about how I wake up in the middle of the night and things are like, woo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had some information that came to me about, and it's all part of my unwinding my business, and it could have been very stressful, but what I noticed was I didn't react the same way.
Mhm.
I didn't wake up in the middle of the night and obsess about it. I did. There was one night where it took a while to go to sleep, maybe a couple extra hours, but I ended up getting a good night's sleep anyway. So
Mhm.
difference was I have been known to internalize those kinds of things and like get no sleep at all. So it was lessened,
Mhm.
much lessened. So that felt good.
And that's an improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have to give credit to an improvement, don't we?
Yes.
Yep.
Like Bill sitting down and saying, I'm calm. Yay.
Yep.
Yay, I love that.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to go into it. We heard from some people, that's why you don't see everybody on here. We heard from some people that they weren't going to be able to be here. So they'll be listening to the tape. The first part is about integrity. So what I did is at first I went to Webster, because I like to start there. After all, it is our dictionary. Maybe not the only one, but I like it. So I'll give you the definitions. Integrity, soundness, firm adherence to a moral code. This is a good one. Incorruptibility, completeness. That felt good to me because we're talking about whole self, and we want us to be complete. We want all parts of ourselves to get together and integrate and help each other and be complete. Honest. You hear that word honest, and you think, whoa, yeah, that's a part of integrity. So I deliberately waited a while before I gave you this next process. It is one of the most powerful processes I've ever experienced. For the people that were at Summit, that I knew from Summit, I did this one when I was on the very first VIP workshop with Paul. I participated in this process. And I don't know what happened, because I think I went into another world, but I was completely altered after this. And it's simple, but it's not easy. Okay, and you're going to need paper and pen. It's called the name process. And if your mind says, oh, I've done this one before, allow your mind to relax, because you're a very different person now than if you ever did it before. I'm saying that more to the people that were at Summit. I just got a pop thinking about it today. I got a new pop on something. I'll tell Barbara what it is when we're into it. Because Barbara and I grew up in the same household, same parents. And I learn something new every time I do this. So on a clean sheet of paper and a lined sheet of paper, if you have a lined piece of paper, if not, just sort of, if you can draw lines. You don't need to draw lines on the paper, but across the top of the paper, what I want you to do is put your name at birth. So I'm Geraldine, and my name at birth was just my first and last name, Geraldine O'Connor. That was it. So that's what I'm going to put. I'm going to put Geraldine, I'm going to put O'Connor on the top line at the top of the page, and then draw. And then most people had a middle name, put the middle name there in the middle, and then draw. If you have 3 names, make 3 columns. So draw 2 lines down the page to make 3 columns. If you have 2 names like I have, just draw a line down the middle. Bill's starting over again. All right, now let's look at these names. This is something very much like our bodies that we carry around. The men carry around their name intact all their life. Okay, we women, sometimes we change our names, but we're still sort of attached to that one that we were born with. We know what it means, what that name means. So the assignment is free associate about all these names. And you have 3 separate or 2 separate columns there. And I want you to just free associate, and as quickly as you can, write down things that you think or where those names came from. Write anything that comes to mind about the name. What do they mean to you? What do they mean to your parents? If you were named after someone, what were their traits? Who were they? Who was Paula? Where did Kirstine come from? Where did that name come from? Who was William? Who was David? To your parents and to you, therefore. And move around through each name, no special order, because you'll have thoughts come up about all the names. And just go from column to column and accumulate at least 3 to 5 things under each name. And just keep going. Hey, how are you doing? Do you have 3 or 5 things underneath each name
Mhm.
about? Okay. How you doing, Bob?
Oh, wait, I think he may be muted. Let me unmute him.
Oh,
Bob?
it's all right.
I'm not.
Sorry.
You're good? Okay. All right. So how many of you had a middle name?
I did.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Yeah. You didn't, Christine? Yeah. I think my parents thought Geraldine O'Connor was enough. There's a lot to say. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Now, if you think of anything else, go ahead and write it down. But the next thing we're going to do is draw a line left to right underneath all that stuff you wrote. So it's a line delineating what you just wrote from what you're going to write. Straight across the page. I just thought of a few more things. All right, now, under this line, what you're going to do is you're going to write some stuff about these names or these people, whoever they represented, that are things that you probably wouldn't tell anybody else. Like, I'm named after my Uncle Gerald. And I don't know if I know anything. I wouldn't tell anybody else about Uncle Gerald. But I do know some things about the O'Connors that I wouldn't go around bragging about. Okay? They were definitely Irish. So write that down. And rumors that you might have heard, or things that you thought about, but nobody ever said in the family about some of those relatives. Like I had a grandfather that had a rocking chair and he had a still underneath the rocking chair and he made his own liquor rocking his rocking chair. Like the still.
That's so clever, actually.
Well,
That's really clever.
that's nice for you to call it clever. I was always sort of embarrassed by that. Okay, so go ahead, write down those things that you could think of.
Things that we don't really want to say.
Things you're not real proud of about those relatives or whoever you were named after. Now, maybe scandalous or secrets. Nobody will see this, so just go ahead. It's good for you to put it down on a piece of paper. I already told you about my grandfather. And you didn't have to necessarily know it, and if you were named after a famous person, for example, what was their reputation? Okay. What were they known for? For example, I always thought it was so cool that Donald O'Connor had that name. You probably don't even know who I'm talking about. But I love the fact that he danced. So. But write down the stuff that you're not real thrilled with. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Mm. I still react to writing this stuff down. After all this time. Okay. How are you doing? Do you have some stuff there
Mhm.
that you're glad you don't have to announce to the world? Okay. Now, what you're going to do in the margin on the left-hand side of these two sets of things that you wrote, on the top, just write the word act. And the stuff below the line, write SCUZ, S-C-U-Z.
What's the first word?
Act, A-C-T.
Okay.
Or persona.
Mhm.
And then below the line is SCUZ. Christine knows what we're doing. Okay. Now, you know how there's always twists in these processes, right? The message from this is that the stuff that's above the line is how you act. It's how you present yourself to the world. So that nobody finds out anything about the stuff below the line. Because God forbid anybody should ever find out anything below the line.
Ugh.
Ah! You want to share about this? Ah, look at these people. Look at the faces. The heads are going like this. Ah.
I'll share. I'll share since
Okay.
I'm making so much noise over here about it.
Okay. All right, Miss Noisy.
Okay, so the thing about, there's always been like a thing about my name.
Yes.
Because it's very different and it's spelled differently. And so what I wrote about underneath my name, the first thing I wrote was free actually, which was kind of cool. But then it went south after that. So it was weird, different, hard to spell. I was named after some random opera singer that my parents, I mean, not after a family member. My name is easily confused with other names that sound like it when people don't hear it correctly. But it's unique, and in that uniqueness, sometimes easy to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And then my surname, my maiden name, in German actually is the word for different in the language.
Oh.
Anders means different.
Ah.
So, different, literally. It was also an adopted name. And then
What do you
because,
mean an adopted name?
okay, so then we go to the SCUZ part down below the other line. So apparently my grandmother had several suitors, and she's I guess in today's, she had some kids out of wedlock, and I love her. I never met her, but I guess she's kind of a slut. So,
Spirit.
This name is from some guy that married her, and my dad took the name, and so it's not even a family name. It's just from this random guy that she married, right? So,
Some guy took the name? What does that mean?
she had my dad with another gentleman. Then that guy split, I guess, and then so this other gentleman came into her life who married her, and so he also gave my dad his surname, but they were not related.
How do you give one man? How do you one man give his another man his surname?
How do you? I mean,
He adopted, did he adopt him?
Pre-World War II Europe, I don't know, all kinds of shit was going on.
Anything
God
goes.
forbid they came through Ellis Island. They couldn't spell the name, so it was whatever they figured out. Yeah.
Right, but he probably took the name because he liked it and didn't ask if he could take it. It wasn't given to him. He
Yes.
liked it.
and that's the other thing. I mean, underneath this, a very vague and sketchy history.
Yes.
Like there's
So what does that make you?
Like it's
Your
very
two names mean that you're different.
different. Don't belong to anybody. Don't belong
Don't-
to anybody.
Don't
So,
belong to anybody. Whoa, how does that feel?
well, there's a lifelong striving to belong, to join, to belong, to be a part of the tribe, to be a part of a group, to be normal, because
Yes.
as not normal, not like others.
Yes.
It's not about the name. There's so much more behind the name about being from a different, parents from a different country with a thick accent, with different ways of doing things, and
Uh-huh.
not allowing me to assimilate into
Hmm.
How
Western
do they
culture.
not allow you to assimilate?
Well, when you're a kid, you do what your parents are told, and if you want to
Yes.
have girlfriends are having a sleepover, but they think that's weird. Never heard of that. You can't go to the sleepover, and so
Oh,
things like that.
I see.
So, which I could belong if I went to the sleepover, but no.
Yes, you could. If only.
But no. So anyway, and I was in another, went to this women's retreat, and the whole name thing came up because people, if I introduce myself, they say it again. How do you spell that? There's this whole conversation that revolves around the name. So I actually put a name tag on with a phonetic spelling. So it was like, there it is. Shut up. Don't ask me.
Don't ask me again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to explain it anymore. No explanations. Read.
Anyway, that was that's my
Yes. Well, no big deal, huh? That God forbid anybody should know that your relatives, one was a slut, and who knows who your father really was, and
or who he's related to. I mean, he's got a half brother, and then by the time I was able to actually, as he got older, different stories began to come out, and the stories that we had been told before suddenly were different stories. Like, wait, you said this before, but now you're saying this. Oh, now you're revealing the truth because you're older. And there was so much during that period of time, and growing up in that time period, and where he grew up, so difficult, and so much having to hide and shame, and the war, and
oh God, the war. Oh yeah. I gotta write that down.
So
it dogs me. Yes, Christine. See, this is all the stuff that, I would guess that most of us had something in our name that had us feel odd or different, or didn't belong, or didn't fit in, or something like that. And it's the scourge of a kid's mind or an adolescent's mind trying to belong or fit in. And if you don't get to go to the girls' parties, or you don't get to go to the right things, and you can't wear the right stuff, and nobody can get your name right. And yes. So what's your act that covers up all this sleaze?
oh,
Sorry.
don't think I didn't think of that when I wrote down scuzz. I was like, oh shit, I know this.
O'Connor with an E, O'Connor with an O.
Just very appropriate, and together, and I know what to say and how to say and what to say, and I fit right in. I fit right in on the outside, but internally I'm still trying to fit.
Yes. So it's still an effort in your existence. In your internal world, you still have to effort to be even in this group with us, as if we would know anything or care. See, does anybody else care? Does anybody, look at everybody just turned their head like, no. Yeah, everybody did. Nobody cares. And yet we follow ourselves around with this stuff. How would you like to have the name Geraldine? The Catholic school where the nuns called me that every day. Please call me Jerry. And Anyway, yes. Yeah, and people would look at me funny. Where'd they ever get that name? I'm named after my
Second
uncle.
grade, I started putting that, when you're in grade school, you have to put your name at the top of the paper. When you have
Yes.
I would change my name to Lynn.
Yeah.
Lynn, and I put all my names, and they had to have a talk with me about it. Yes.
Lynn.
I'm just going to be Lynn. How's that?
Yes. Yes. Now, one thing about you is you have a beautiful speaking voice. Can you sing?
I've never really tried it. I've never tried to sing.
Well, you're named after an opera singer. I would not be surprised
Oh,
if you
wow.
could.
Go for it.
Wow.
What did I say to you? Is you the least weird person I know? Yeah, but it's all in here.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Good, Kirstine, thank you. Anybody else want to talk about any or any part of this or anything that you wrote down that was a surprise to you? Oh,
I just remember a teacher
who's talking?
called me Potter. He referred to me as Potty.
Honey.
Oh,
Oh, no.
oh,
Oh.
And he was a good guy. He was a good guy.
Now we're going real
right,
deep.
but he called you Potty. And what
Potty.
does Potty
Hey,
mean?
Potty, shout out the window. Hey, Potty, go and get something or other, So that made me feel real good.
And what did potty mean to you?
Or a potty is what young babies go poo in.
Yes, yes. That's the thought that came to me when you said the word. Yes.
Potty in the UK is another word for a slang for crazy.
Oh, well, that's pleasant too, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So,
Hey, crazy.
hey, crazy.
Hey, poophead. Don't
He was a nice guy. He was my favorite teacher. And I was like, why did you do that?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Nicknames show affection.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that one. So I need to tell my sister this because I had a huge pop today, Barbara.
Okay.
I'm named after my father's brother, his oldest brother, who was a mayor of a town, tall, handsome, golfer, smart. He was the oldest son of 9, good Catholic Irish family.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm named after Daddy's brother. You're named after my mother's best friend, right?
Right. And my middle name is after someone that died.
Yes. One of the siblings of Daddy that died. So,
No, Mom. Mom.
oh, Mom.
Eleanor. Yes. Her sister
Oh.
Eleanor. Yeah.
Okay. So I've always wondered, why was I closer to Daddy than Mom?
Mhm.
You were her best friend.
Yeah.
And we always knew that. Like from the time I could comprehend this stuff, I knew that Barbara was named after my mother's best friend. So that makes Barbara her best friend. So where does that put me?
In the potty.
In the potty.
In the potty. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wrote down under the scuzz line, of course, all the alcoholics in the Irish family. Oh my God.
Oh, that's,
Oh my God.
yeah.
And I wrote down, in particular, Aunt Beth. And guess what her name was, you guys, from Summit? Beth O'Connor.
No.
Oh.
Oh!
I had to work for that woman.
Oh, God.
And I didn't like her from the first day. Anyway, I'll explain.
Wow.
My Aunt Beth was a horrendous alcoholic, and my last experience of her was when I was about 21. And she got so drunk that she snarled at me like a tiger. She just snarled at me. And that was my final experience with her. Isn't that awful?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. And then I go and meet Beth O'Connor. Oh God. Really? You really have to have that name? Oh, okay.
Well, Jerry, I was just looking over what I wrote down and the whole common denominator in two marriages was alcoholism,
Yes.
because it was so rampant in our
Mhm.
family.
Yes.
And we
Yes,
didn't even know it.
Pardon?
We didn't even realize it as
No,
little kids.
not when we were kids.
We thought it was normal.
Yes, we thought it was normal. We
Absolutely
didn't know
not.
that there were adults that didn't drink.
Yeah, we did.
That's right.
Yeah, we didn't know it. We didn't.
We didn't.
No,
We didn't.
all
When I
adults
was in the
drank.
houses where the adults didn't drink, I think, when you
Yeah.
have drinks. Or
Yeah.
drink, right? Okay. All right. So if you look at the stuff above and you figure out how you arranged your act, okay, to cover up this stuff below, it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Now, here's the main twist on this process. You are not any of this stuff.
Thank God.
You aren't any of it. You're not an opera singer unless you want to be. You're not weird. You are unique. We're all unique. You're not anything that you wrote down. Okay? I am kind of funny sometimes, but I'm not funny like my father was funny. And I wrote funny under O'Connor because they were all so funny. But sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm pretty serious about stuff. And so I'm not always that. I'm not any of it really all the time. None of us are. We're actually not any of it. We're not the sleaze either. We're not the stuff below the line or above the line. But we can put ourselves onto this list very easily. You want to know how we do it?
How?
We break our word. If we give our word to somebody and we don't come through, then we start acting like this is our list. This is our default program that we can fall back on when we're ashamed, when we're embarrassed, when we've really screwed up, when we didn't keep our agreements. This is what we fall back on, is this stuff that's on this list. And to stay off the list, we need to be keeping our word. And this is something that it's hard for me to express how important this is, because the only thing we take with us when we die is our integrity. That's it. That's it. Of course, our soul. And a really big part of our soul is our integrity, our character. Knowing that people can count on us, knowing that we can count on ourselves. Okay? So if you say you're going to do something, and that means keeping your word to yourself too. If you wake up in the morning and you say, "Oh, I'm going to go and get some exercise. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to blah blah blah. I'm going to get that thing done that I said I would do, that I don't have any time commitment on." See, that's how some people stay on the list too, is they never make a commitment. And if you never make a commitment, you don't ever have a way to stay, then life is very loosey-goosey. And you could fall on the list very easily. So you need to make commitments and keep them. And keep it simple. So if you say you're going to be somewhere to meet a friend, be there on time or a little early. See, if I show up somewhere and I'm the first one there, I feel good because nobody had to wait for me. I hate keeping people waiting for me, even if I'm not late. Okay? I like to be there and comfortable and ready.
You get the best seat.
And get the best seats. I do. I like to choose where I sit. If it's in a restaurant at a table, I like to sit in particular places. You can't choose your seat, literally and figuratively, if you don't get there ahead of time. If you make an agreement with a client to do something by a particular time, do it perfectly, and do it early. Come in early. Come in good, come in perfectly, and come in early. And then, how's that going to feel to you? See, we think this is about other people. This is not about other people. This is what keeps us off any part of this list. I don't have a problem with alcohol anymore. Okay? I don't have a problem. I don't have anybody named Beth in my life anymore. She's not following me around, not dogging me. If you say you'll be at a seminar or at an appointment, be there. Be there. If you have agreed to complete something for a client and it looks like you're not going to be able to complete it when you said you would, call, be completely honest about what's happening, and renegotiate the agreement. It's called get back to the table and renegotiate. And that's about any agreement. Any agreement can be renegotiated. But you have to say, I need to ask you something. Is it okay with you if we talk about something that's hard for me to talk about?
Sure.
And when you say it like that, usually they'll say, oh yeah, okay. I don't have time right now. Okay, when would be a good time? See, make sure it's a good time too for the other person. Don't just blurt it out at people. Otherwise they won't hear you. Okay. Be careful what you agree to do for others and for you. See, for the people that talk about being overcommitted, and we've all done it. We've all done it. Going forward, be very careful what you agree to do. Be careful because you're talking about your own integrity with you. You're talking about your internal world, which is what gives the quality to your life, is your internal world. What you say to you is what determines the quality of your life, not what anybody else thinks about you. Okay? So be careful what you say you'll do for others and for yourself. I agreed to have Barbara's event. And today we were meeting and she says, oh, there's too much for you to do. I said, no, I knew this going in. I'm good. I needed to do this anyway. We're good. Okay? I needed to fix that thing anyway. This just gives me a date by which it needs to be done. That's all. You're doing me a favor. So be very careful what you agree to do, and don't agree to anything that you can't, where you cannot bring your best to it. See, if you know that you can only really commit to one big deal a day, but somebody says, oh God, could you please do me a favor? Let them know, I'll do it. But I'm not at my best in the late afternoon or night. And I don't agree to do anything at night anymore. I don't. No more nighttime stuff. Okay, so living like this will keep you off the list completely. Out of the act that's above the line, the persona that you've created to not let anybody know what's really inside you, that would be fun to describe these acts. And of course, it keeps you out of the scuzz because you're not any of it. It's just what you watched as a child. And when we're children and we watch things and we hear things, we think it's true and we think it's us. We personalize everything when we're children. we take it in. If you break your word, you will feel like the scuzz below the line.
Mhm.
And you might take it out on somebody else because you feel so bad.
Mhm.
So it'll put you in a lousy mood and take it out on your husband or your dog or,
No, no dogs.
no dogs. No.
Can't do that.
I have a
So
question.
stay off the list completely and keep your word. Now, this might sound easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's rigorous. It really is. But if you want freedom, real freedom from the inside out, this is freedom. Just keep your word. And don't say you'll do anything you won't do or can't do or probably won't get around to or you don't want to do. Don't say you'll do something you don't want to do.
Mhm.
This is integrity.
Mhm.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The scuzz below the line was family, what the names represent and what we remembered.
If
Family.
you're named after family, you might have been named after a movie star.
Yeah, well, in my case, it was family. But what in our life, what if, there were things that were scuzzy in our life?
Okay.
We can leave it and
Well, were you duplicating them in any way when you did that yourself?
I wasn't duplicating because I don't know what they did, but I think it could have been why I did it, actually.
In reaction to them?
Yes,
To show them?
not to show them, but to be valued, to be.
Get attention?
I don't know if attention. I wouldn't say attention. To be loved, to be.
But you did sleazy or scuzzy things to be loved?
Well, evidently it was.
Okay, see, it's good that you're talking about it because you hear it and you're laughing.
Well, it is funny because
It is funny.
but I was trying to think. I mean, right now it had to be because of that. Trying
What? Because of what?
to love.
That.
That is what you just said. Trying to be loved or accepted, or I don't know.
It's called attention, Paula. There's a lot of people who do really crazy things for attention.
I don't know if it was attention that I want. I definitely wasn't attention. I definitely didn't want attention to it.
But so, see, when you hear yourself say it, it doesn't make any sense, does it?
Well, it doesn't, not when you want attention. No, it definitely was not attention.
Or love. Why would somebody love you for doing something scuzzy?
Okay.
They don't love you when you do
No,
that.
they don't. They don't respect and all of that.
Okay. So what you're really doing is you're proving to yourself that they don't love you.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely proved that.
Okay. So that's where the behavior came from. And if you just keep your word to yourself and to the people around you, it's not about whether they love you or not.
No, it definitely not now. But I overcame it. But you're right. Okay, I got
Remember
it.
this conversation. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now trust. We're going to go on to trust. According to Webster, trust is assured reliance on the character, ability, strength, or truth of someone or something. That's pretty well said, isn't it? Webster's pretty good. One in which confidence is placed. Don't you want to be that person? Somebody that people can be confident in? Yeah. I personally, Jerry, I have made trust easy for me. I made it very hard on me for a long time in my life. Now it's easy. I trust people to be who they've been, who they've already been. I trust people to be who they've already been. And then, if they set forth on a mission to clean up their act and clean up their life, and they make all these promises, and they're doing what they need to do, they're in a 12-step program, or they're in therapy, they're reading books and watching tapes and going to blah, 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 blah. And it seems like I can trust them to be something other than what they've always been. Then I wait a little longer. I've learned I wait a little longer to see if the old behavior turns up again. I'm in that process with somebody I'm related to right now. And I'm just watching. And I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled for this person in my life. Thrilled for this person. Then I may learn to trust the new person that they have developed into this new iteration of them. Thank God, thank God, thank God. I trust people who keep their word to me. So trust is not immediate for me. Trust comes after I've known people for a while and I watch their behavior. I watch how they are with me, and I watch how they are with other people. I watch how other people respond to them. See, all those things are clues. I've worked with so many single people who want to know how to pick a partner. And I'll say, watch them. Watch how their family is. Watch how their family is with them. Watch how, if the family likes them. Watch if they have friends and how their friends are with them. Watch, observe. See, that's how I'm careful with me, because I've been wrong a lot. Okay? So for me, trust is easy. I trust who people have already been. That way I'm not disappointed. I don't hope anything about people. I might pray for them, but I don't hope. I turn it over. Okay? Because hope is a very low level of energy, isn't it? Would you want to live in the city of hope? If you were ever in LA, you know what the city of hope is. There's no hope there. So, and other people where I've seen that they don't keep their word to themselves or anybody, they go into a different category for me. I call it where I am polite and I keep my distance. I'm polite and I keep my distance. Barbara and I had somebody from our past show up in our lives a couple of years ago, and I was tentative with them. And as it's turned out, I didn't get my feelings hurt. It was good that I was tentative, because they came back around and did the same thing they did before, which was awful. Why do I keep my distance from people? Now, anybody, if you think about this, because you're all very smart people, why would you keep your distance from people who don't keep their word? What goes on around them?
Chaos.
Chaos.
Drama.
Exactly.
Chaos.
And there's always collateral damage around them.
Black clouds.
And collateral damage. And if you're too close, if you're too invested in any way at all, financially or with your heart and soul invested in them being a particular way, then you will be collateral damage, and you will pay, either literally or figuratively, or both.
Right.
So it doesn't mean I'm not mean, I'm not unfriendly, I'm polite, and I keep my distance. Right? And that's how I deal with trust, because people who do not live with integrity are surrounded by drama, blaming, money problems, etc., etc., etc. You guys know this.
Yeah.
You know this. So that's trust for me. Any comments on that?
Hmm.
Anything you'd like to add or ask or whatever you think?
I think you got it.
Yeah, it's not whether they're related to me or not. I've done this with relatives. I've done it with one of my favorite aunts. I finally had to tell her, I'm not inviting you anymore to my house. Oh, God.
Well,
Hmm?
and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes patience
What takes patience?
Trust.
to be able to, if need be, eliminate them from your universe. You know,
Well,
And-
I'm pretty good at it.
and be on a different level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How did she respond when you told her that?
She just did what I said. She didn't come around anymore. She was not invited.
She didn't
Come to my house anymore. She was not invited. And yet my uncle, her husband, asked me to do her eulogy when she died. So there's people I can love, but I don't trust them. I loved her, but I didn't trust her. There's people that I don't like, but I trust. You know, like you might not like their personality very much, but I trust them. I trust them to be what they are, because they're always a particular way, but they might be very good at something and I need that or whatever. See, it's being able to make those distinctions, and all of this adds up to taking care of ourselves. So we're not tearing us apart or blaming us or separating from our soul. That's what's important, is stay integrated with your own soul. And your integrity and your trust lives in your soul. It lives there. And that's how we feed it. And how we begin to trust us is we make a commitment and we come through. And then we do it again and we come through. And we make another commitment and we come through. And then one day we wake up and we say, I trust myself. What a great feeling. And this all sounds so simple. Most of you have heard it before. This is not new news to anybody. You guys are very mature. You wouldn't be on this thing if you weren't. You've been through this. You could teach it. And yet, here we all are going through it again, like putting it through all your systems, all your bodies. Your soul extends way out from you, your astral body, everything. Putting this information through all those places to the point where you could present yourself anywhere and feel good about you. And that's integrity and that's trust. So any comments? We have another minute or two. Anything?
Yes, I may have heard this before, but you know, this period in time has never occurred before. So
Yes.
it's new now. You know, it's new now. And so I appreciate that as a reminder and as a fresh look at what, yeah, I heard it before, but no, me right now has never heard it before. So
yes.
So, yeah.
So we have to give ourselves credit for going through all the passages we've been through, every decade of our life, every disappointment we've recovered from, every heartbreak we've recovered from, every single thing we've forgiven ourselves for and other people for. That elevates our soul. So then when we bring this information into that elevated person, it takes on a whole new level. for me, it's a compliment to share it. And it's, and I love you for doing it with me.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Love you.
Jerry.
You're really welcome. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I guess we're wrapping up. Your homework, of course, is keep your word. And then next week, we're going to do intentions. We're going to do it a little different from, Paula may have done this before, but I don't know, maybe both Paulas. But I don't know if any of the rest of you have done it the way we're going to do it next week. So start thinking about the qualities that you'd like to see happening in your future. Qualities, the quality of the people you have around you, qualities that you intend to bring to wherever you are, the qualities. And then watch for those miracles. And think about your goals that you established at the beginning. And then we're going to start out by sharing on how you did with those goals. I'm really happy that Dave Potter's already doing voiceover. Yay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so cool. So cool. So thank you. Good night, you guys.
Thank you, Jerry. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh,
Bye.
yeah.